Welcome to the King Street Cinema Podcast. My name's Andy. You might know me from ACM's Vault of Cult, another movie podcast. I'm joined as ever by King Street's very own James Rowe. How are you doing, James?
I'm doing all right.
That's a good intro. I was all enthusiastic. Yeah. And the reason I'm enthusiastic is, we're going back to the summer of 1993 now.
We are.
A big year in cinema, and a year I remember well. We'll be talking at length about Jurassic Park, one of the biggest movies ever made.
Indeed. And
a movie that wasn't one of the biggest movies ever made, but still a big movie at the time, Last Action Hero, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. One movie I saw at the cinema at the time, and the other, Last Action Hero, I wasn't old enough to sit at the cinema.
No, me neither.
And not even old enough to sort of sneak in.
No.
Because it was a 15 certificate.
It was a 15 certificate. Strange one, though, because I remember it really well, of course, being advertised and being in cinema, and for some reason have a memory of being at the cinema and seeing it, which I didn't do.
Okay.
But it's a strange thing, though.
We'll dive straight in, and we will talk about Last Action Hero. But first, here's a trailer for that movie.
Negotiations with the madman known as the Ripper have totally broken down, and there is no word on the hostages.
Police have surrounded the ground floor, and SWAT troops are moving into position.
Oh my God! They're shooting at us! Get down!
The situation is out of control. The police are pinned down.
A special hostage negotiator has been called in.
What we need down here is an armored division, and this is complete insanity. I've never seen it.
Right now, there's a truck directly in the line of fire trucks.
This may be the hostage negotiator police we're talking about. It's Slater.
You may remember Detective Slater from an earlier story. He is notorious in police circles for his unusual tactics and...
Don't even think it, Slater. You hear me?
Nonetheless, Slater is known throughout the city as someone who gets the job done.
Now you go in there, and it's your badge.
Sorry, not yet. Come back later.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Last Action Hero, the big ticket for '93.
Arnie there, legend.
Yeah.
And you say you think you saw it in the cinema?
Yeah, it's a really weird thing. Like, I have this vague memory of believing that I saw it at the cinema, which I didn't. I don't. Yeah, that didn't happen. But it's a film about the cinema, right? So I think, and because I work in one as well, I think I just have this kind of almost like connection with it on that level. Well, it's weird.
I think around the time this came out, Ipswich would have had, the Odeon would have been open, and I remember posters, big cardboard cutouts of Arnie. It was a big thing, and it was a big budget film. And I was saying now, the budget for Last Action Hero was higher than Jurassic Park, I believe.
Well, the budget for The Last Action Hero was 85 million, so big. And you're right, 63 for Jurassic Park.
Yeah, so big. But a lot of that would have been spent on things like cameos and soundtrack and that sort of thing. Won't do too much about comparing the films because they are completely different. Yeah, because then nowadays they'd probably be doing a double bill of, and they'd have some fancy name like Jurassic Hero or something, which might have helped.
Maybe. I think at the time there was a bit of beef between the two.
Yeah. Was there not a trailer where Arnie was taken on dinosaur?
So there was more of a rivalry than a collab sort of attempt.
Different studios, I believe, weren't they? Were they different?
Oh, definitely, It was Universal and Paramount, I think.
And also it was of the time where there was less blockbusters being made. There was a few a year opposed to... Nowadays, it seems like there's one every other week come out.
Yeah.
So these were the big heads-to-head, and I think certificates didn't help. But in America, they were possibly both PG-13.
I would have thought that Last Action Hero is certainly PG-13.
And that was something that because Arnie produced this as well, and he had a lot more say in this movie than a lot of his earlier work. And he wanted it a PG-13 because he had we all know, those who lived through the 80s and 90s, a lot of his fan base were kids.
Absolutely.
And in America, R-rated kids could go and see them with parents. But I think he just wanted everyone to be able to see this and go and see it.
Sure.
and it's I think it's mainly I'll stick to saying 15 of British because of the violence. I don't think there's much swearing in it or anything.
No. They make a point of that in the film, that there is no swearing because it is a PG-13 film.
Yeah.
Well, the film within the film.
Yeah, okay. So Jack Slater.
The Jack Slater 4 is the film within the film.
I mean, I rewatched this the other night, and I really enjoyed it. It does seem... It's one of those that people say it's ahead of its time. To me, it feels very 90s. And there's so many references to like Lethal Weapon and that sort of thing. And for me, I think it's great. But I still think a new audience would enjoy it in the way a new audience would enjoy something like Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Because it's not as broad comedy as that.
No.
But you get it spoofing.
Yeah, I mean, this is the head of its time sort of element to the film. Because the formula of the film is not ahead of its time. It's of its time. But what's ahead of its time is it's looking at itself. It's the, mirror. So saying, here I am, this is what I am, you know what I am. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Which is very much now. That's a now thing.
Well, it reminds me a bit of last year, Nicolas Cage played himself in a movie. Later on in this film, it's not a spoiler, Arnie appears as himself.
Yeah. And it's very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's played very well, because it's funny, but it's not over the top silly, but it's clearly meant to be, you're meant to laugh at it, and it is funny.
Yeah, I think it's funny. And there's some one bit I totally forgot. I won't say what it is because I think we want to get people to go see it, but see if you can spot Danny DeVito's character in it, because he'd made twins with him by this point, and they went on to do Junior together. They was sort of nearly almost a comedy double act for a bit. And it's sort of forgotten that Danny DeVito's in this film, and you might not even notice.
Well, there's a lot of people in this movie which you blink and you miss them, sort of thing.
Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
And there's a story behind that as well, because they done Total Recall together.
Yeah.
In this, she's dressed like she's in Basic Instinct, not long after that film came out.
Yeah.
Arnie and, I talk like I know him, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone, they didn't get on while making Basic Instinct. They fell out. But apparently he talked her into doing the cameo, basically because Total Recall really helped her career, and she acknowledged that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think there was as much of beef as maybe the media made
out. No, they probably just didn't.
Or just both, they did fall out, but both very professional.
Yeah, I would thought that's probably it.
Yeah. Chevy Chase is in it. Very he does a stumble.
It's a wonderful cameo. One of the best in the movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't say a word, which is perfect, I think, because he doesn't always need to.
No, legend. Yeah. It's not very often you see him on the big screen anymore. But I really enjoyed it, and it's got a really cool, if you're into sort of 80s rock soundtrack.
Yeah.
AC/DC recorded a track especially for it called Big Gun, written for the film. Arnie got that himself. He approached them and was like, "I like you." I'm not doing the voice. And he got them, and they were still are massive bands.
AC/DC?
Yeah.
Never heard of them.
Yeah. Def Leppard on that soundtrack, Megadeth.
Yeah.
It's basically my youth.
That is very true. It is your youth.
And it really contrasts actually to the soundtrack of Jurassic Park, which is pretty much all score.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is a song in Jurassic Park.
I don't think so. I remember that surprised me at the time, and that was one of the first. You'd have, say, a few years before this, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves would have a hit single. Yeah. Jurassic Park.
Is that sort of a Spielberg? We'll get on to Jurassic Park later, but it's not really a Spielbergy thing, is it, to have a song?
Imagine if Richard Marx had done a song to like E.T. or something. That would be crazy. So it had that. Basically, it was this movie was as commercial as you could get for the time. I think.
Yeah.
It was big names. The soundtrack, there was action figures, everything. I personally think the reason it didn't work was fans of that genre at the time didn't want a PG-13 comedy action. They wanted another action film.
Yeah.
And the kids who it was aimed at probably went to see other films instead.
Yeah, probably. I remember. Okay, so I'll just say when I first saw this, which must have been very soon after it had been at the cinema, so I think it was certainly when it came out on video, rented it pretty much straight away, and I didn't like it that much. I thought it was overlong, and I thought it was just not that good. I just at that time I would have been 11, something. I just thought it wasn't like what I thought it was going to be, basically.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how many years later it was, but I'd say probably in my late teens I saw it again and thought it was brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely loved it. So
it could be because
I think kids at that time anyway, a lot of kids just wouldn't have got it.
Younger kids would have rather just watched Commando.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like the humour goes over their head.
Yeah. Because no one cares about that kind of insidey kind. When you're that young, you don't care about look who it is, you know, kind of thing. Oh, look at him playing himself. No one.
But the feel of it has got a bit of a kid's feel, because from the point of view of the young lad,
it is,
and it's very cinema paradiso.
Yeah,
to start with,
absolutely.
But it's from his
lovely
point of view.
Yeah,
and they've got in, what was the actor's name? Austin O'Brien.
Yeah,
who is basically
playing Danny. Yeah, and he was in a few films. He was in My Girl 2 around the same time.
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
Prehistorica. That's
never saw that one.
I think that was a canon one with dinosaurs.
Okay,
around the same year. But I always saw him as kind of a poor man's Corey Feldman.
Sure, younger, but sure, that sort of thing.
But his mannerisms are very like. So he was a good kid actor.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I thought he played the role fine, like for what he had to do. I think there was quite a nice. So he wasn't over the. I didn't think he was so over the top, which you probably would have got if it was sort of 5 years earlier, if it was sort of mid-80s or so, 10 years earlier, sort of thing. It's a lot more sort of mild in that.
Yeah,
in that, I really like that about his performance as being. Yeah,
one thing. What rewatching it recently, one thing really hit me is in these films, kids they're always portrayed as they're never as scared as a real kid would be. They don't get as upset as a real kid would be. But at the end, he actually cries.
Yes,
which it brings a bit of realism to it. Because a kid of that age would be crying every 5 minutes in this situation.
It is established early on in the film that he grows up in a very deprived area, let's say, where there is crimes very much rife. Yeah. And it's an odd thing in the film because the idea is obviously for that is that when he goes into the movie, that the world is a completely different place to the world the real world that he's from. But the world that he's from is almost like a David Fincher world, where it's just heightened, bad. Everything is like extreme.
Towards the beginning, when he walks out of the cinema to get home, and he literally is walking through crime.
That's what I'm saying. It's like David Fincher's Seven or something, and no one cares.
Yeah.
It's just got that attitude of the world's just gone to hell kind of thing, which is, like I say, is to make the comparison between the two worlds, but it's a little over the top.
Yeah,
I found, but it does work though. I think
because it got moderate reviews at the time. It didn't. I don't think it was never one what got panned for being terrible.
Yes,
but I think a lot of the reasons a lot of critics didn't like it was tonally they didn't know what it was.
That's what I'm trying to get at. I think the tone of the film is a little off, and still when you watch it now, I still feel that. Like I love it. I love the film. I think it's got some great elements to it that I think are some of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best work. For definite. I wouldn't say this is his best film, certainly not, but it's up there as one of his best. And some of the scenes, some of the stuff that's going on in the film is some of the best stuff I think he's done.
And some of the set pieces are fantastic.
Yeah,
and it is from the director of Die Hard.
It is. It's John McTiernan who did Die Hard and Predator.
Yeah, we spoke about him a lot on the Predator episode.
Right.
And I think that's what the action is handled really well for comedy. It looks really good. But the script is co-written by two guys, Zach Penn, who went on to do a lot of stuff with Marvel.
Yes.
And another guy called Adam Left, I think I've written. I don't know. And the only other thing he's done that I've even heard of.
Wasn't Shane Black involved in that?
Shane Black wrote the screenplay as well. These are the guys who've done the story.
Oh, the story.
The story is by a guy who done pretty much this and Biodome.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm a Paulie Shaw fan. I'm sure I've said this before, but that film I'm not a fan of. And Shane Black was one of several people who worked on the script.
Yes, and very important, obviously, in the world of action.
Weapon.
Yeah, and Predator.
And he went on to do Marvel, which one of the other writers did. And I think a lot of the humour in this, not the film out of film side of it, but the action humour mix you can see in Marvel nowadays.
Yes, certainly.
And I think it's really interesting that this film is considered a big bomb, but the people involved all seem to have done fine afterwards.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think they're doing probably okay beforehand anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was everyone's first go at a movie or anything, and then
No.
And it wasn't like this film was a huge failure. I mean, it didn't do anywhere near what it should have done.
Yeah.
But certainly not a horrible bomb.
No, I mean,
but for Arnold Schwarzenegger at the time, it certainly was.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because he just hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, it was 85 million and it made 137
Yeah,
million.
which is not, that's not what you want, because
No.
it hasn't doubled the figures, so,
No.
yeah.
But it's not disastrous.
No.
Though, so, Arnie stated by saying he feels it was his first ever flop.
Yes, it was.
Well, no, Red Sonja.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but
True.
But I think for him, it hit him more because, firstly, the whole film's written around him.
Yeah.
And that he put so much investment in it, with his own money, and he seemed to go out of his way to promote it even more.
Yeah.
And it was that sort of. It wasn't that long after, say, Terminator 2. Was it 91? Wasn't it?
Yeah, the previous film.
Yeah. Was it his previous film? Or was it one
I
in
think
between?
so.
Okay.
I think, at least theatrically. I think he might have done something on television, I think,
Yeah.
he was involved in. But, yeah.
So, so he'd gone from, one of the biggest films of all time, and possibly, no matter what he'd done next, couldn't live up to that anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so.
And I think it was, in a way, it might come across as arrogance, but it's spoofing that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's making fun of his persona,
I
which he
think
does really well.
This is it. This is the main issue. This is the problem with the film that many people had and probably still have today, is not realising that, not noticing that, or not believing it at all, just thinking it is pure arrogance, like this movie is made as complete self-indulgence.
Yeah.
And I don't think that. I don't feel that way about it. But I guess I can see how people could, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, but when it gets to when you see him, obviously you see him as Jack Slater, and then when you see him as himself at the premiere at the end, they're almost they are making fun of him.
I think so.
He's doing an interview and he's plugging his restaurants,
and his wife's telling him, "Don't do that. It's awful."
Yeah,
yeah.
And I don't think. I mean, there seems like there's a little bit of arrogance with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he knows it, and it's he's almost like a WWF wrestler, you know.
Yeah, there's a certain element to it that is almost like it's fake. You know that I'm just playing a character, even though it's myself. Sort of
because there's the image of Arnie, sunglasses on, cigar, laughing at everything, and he's clearly that is his persona, but he exaggerates it.
Yeah,
it's like Dean Martin, but with the action movies.
Yeah,
I definitely feel that this is one that you should, when you was younger, it felt long. Now, when I put it in, it said 2 hours 10 minutes. I thought, I don't remember much in this film to make it that long, but it still flies by.
Yeah,
and it's not just about Arnie. You've got Charles Dance in there as
Charles Dance, brilliant villain, fantastic.
Did you know the story behind who was going to play that?
No,
it was meant to be Alan Rickman.
Okay,
and then there was an argument over pay. And then someone else, I can't think who the other actor was, and that fell through, and then it went to Charles Dance, who won it over some other people, and apparently on set he got a t-shirt made to wear saying "I'm cheaper than Alan Rickman."
Very good.
Yeah.
But I'm glad Alan Rickman wasn't in it too.
No, it would have been too associated with Die Hard.
Exactly.
And Charles Dance does really well.
He's brilliant.
He's great. Menacing, and what the other? There's another guy in it who is at the beginning. He's in the film as the villain. He comes back later.
Tom Noonan.
That's it, because he is in the Monster Squad as Frankenstein.
He is.
He's brilliant.
But what he's better in is Manhunter by Michael Mann.
Hang on, you said something. You said something he's better than the Monster Squad.
Yes.
Written by Shane Black.
Yes. Yeah.
Manhunter's good. I'll give you that. He's good.
But that's more what I think of when I think of Tom Noonan generally, and when I think, so they've got him in Last Action Hero as the villain, as a sort of serial killer character. He's all right. So it's you in Manhunter. Then.
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was a nod.
Yeah, and what I like about that is he's known for these sort of characters, and in Monster Squad he's very likeable.
He's also in RoboCop as the bad guy. RoboCop 2, just remembered.
I need to rewatch that one.
Yeah, where he plays the main villain in that.
All I remember about RoboCop 2 is it's really violent.
Mm.
So
yes, that is true.
Yeah. And Ian McKellen appears as well.
Ian McKellen, again, fantastic. I mean, what I would say probably to call it a cameo is a little unfair. It's more of a supporting role, but late on in the film. But fantastic. Definitely the best sort of smaller role in the film. And
when this came out, he'd have mainly done theatre.
Very little cinema. Certainly nowhere, not the name that he's today. Exactly. No one would have watched it and gone, oh, it's Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but nothing when I put it in, I remembered it as being, this is one of those films where a lot of famous people pop up.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, as it starts, who's in it? What big name? I remember Chevy Chase.
Tina Turner.
Then that's it. The Tina Turner's straight there. The second it starts is Tina Turner. So, it's nice to see, and it's not too much. And it's not that spoof which was big at the time. Like you had Loaded Weapon, I think, probably the same year. Yeah. Where it's just completely daft, and the references are more subtle. In some spoofs, they just like redo the scene. Mm-hmm. Whereas none of that in this.
It's clever. There's a lot of, like I was saying, about elements in the film that are some of Arnie's best. It's because it's clever. And that's again another reason why perhaps the people just didn't like that. I don't want clever. Yeah. I don't want you really analysing action movies. I just want an action movie.
Yeah, and it's making fun of what they like.
Yes,
in not a cartoony way so much. And I think people didn't like it. I think they were almost thinking that it was saying they were stupid.
Absolutely, that's it. It's taking the piss out of the audience, and that's the problem that a lot of people would have had.
Yeah.
And it's not really. It's not doing that. It's saying, hey, look, we all love this stuff, but isn't it silly?
Yeah, and also you got to think 1993. I mean, when did say Rambo and Commando and stuff? We'd had 10 years of these action films.
It's done.
And and this is almost the end of that as well. When you look at that era. There was around the time of say Demolition Man, and
that year, wasn't it? Or the year after? I can't remember.
Around that time, and that's the last big action film of that type I remember coming out.
Yeah, that was of the old school kind of version of them. You know,
and then it just turned into straight to video films like that. You get Van Damme and Lundgren and that.
But you had a lot of sort of action thrillers. Because that's what they tried. They tried to change them into more of a thriller kind of thing with action sequences,
like The Assassin
and Specialist, and just awful films.
Yeah, which didn't do that well
at all. This was like, well, what are you doing? Why are you? This is over.
Yeah,
you can't. Try
which is one thing.
Fancy it up.
I know he's known as a big action star, but he'd try different things.
Yeah,
you got to look at even doing Batman and Robin was a bit different, and and then when he had his comeback, he'd done that Maggie film, the zombie one, but and a lot of people didn't like that because it's Arnie in a zombie film, and they expected him to be blowing the hell out.
There were very few zombies in it, and it's a drama. The film was a drama.
And I think out of all the action stars, he fared best. I mean, Stallone's been up and down.
He's definitely fared best. Yeah, of course.
So because he's the man, isn't he?
No, but I'm not saying that as a fan. I'm just saying that as without question. I mean, the amount of hits he's had over the years, and even ones that didn't do so well. I mean, none of them been awful, career destroyers.
No, I mean the only film of his, and I've only seen it once, and I should rewatch it. That I remember thinking, wow, that's bad. Was Junior.
All right.
With the one. Do
you know what? I want to see that again. Because I haven't seen it in so many years, and I do remember thinking, it's bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know, when you hear DeVito's name, you go, oh, it can't be that bad.
Is it Ivan Reitman as well?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I'm not always a massive fan of, to be perfectly honest. I mean, obviously Ghostbusters is great and everything.
But he done Twins with them.
And I know you love Twins, and I do like Twins a lot, and I have a lot of nostalgia for Twins because I watched it a lot as a kid, but looking at it again not too long ago, I was like,
it's very 80s.
It's very 80s.
But it's got that 80s charm, which you never like or not.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not against it. Obviously, like I say, nostalgically, I look at it and I go, oh, I remember being, you know, a kid. It reminds me of being a kid. But looking at it, it's like, it's not their best, right? So, but I'm sure it's probably better than Junior.
Yeah, I mean, the chemistry in that film comes through in Twins.
Yeah, sure. Do you think Junior's ruined by just the premise in general?
The poster's hilarious.
Yeah,
I think,
but the premise is awful. I mean, you hear it out loud and you go, "That's not a movie."
I think it was that. it was a bit too daft and a bit too. And the fact that it was Arnie, that film, it wouldn't have got made if it was with, say, Michael Keaton or someone.
But he did that, didn't he?
He didn't do Pregnant. He didn't do Pregnant.
He did not Pregnant necessarily, but he did something along
Mr. Mom.
That's not. But someone else had been in a film where they were pregnant, weren't they? Didn't someone else? No, maybe not. Maybe I'm
probably because they knew that it's an SNL sketch. It's not a film.
Yeah, it's not. That's what I mean. I don't get how. And they get so you've got Emma Thompson. I suppose trying to give it some credibility. I guess, but.
So but Kindergarten Cop's good. We can stand by that.
No, I can't. I really can't. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes. I think. I mean, I know it wasn't
also one of his biggest hits.
I know. This is the weird thing is that I think it just it shouldn't work, and it doesn't work for me at all. Like I've seen it, I think 4 times in my life, and every time I've gone back to watch, I've gone, it couldn't have been as bad. I'm sure I'm missing it. I'm not getting. No, every time I'm just like, no, it's not good. It's just not a good film, and it should be better. It should be good. The idea of big guy looking after children, it should work. But I don't know. I'm just not. I thought it was more TV movie for me.
I really liked it, but that's another one where the tone's a bit because it's dark.
Yeah.
It is a dark film, and then there's a few funny scenes.
Many, I think. Well, they're trying to be like, haha, isn't this cute kind of thing? It's like, well, it's nose, but whatever. Back to Last Action Hero, which is a much better film.
Yeah, and that was a few years after Kindergarten Cop, wasn't it?
I think 1990 Kindergarten Cop, which would be his first go, twins obviously, but
first solo,
but with kids especially. Like, you're beginning the beginnings of Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, "I want to work with children."
Because this film is it's both. It's the silly comedy and the action, and I think because of films like Predator and Commando's the big one for me, the kids loved them, and they thought, right, we can make some money off this. But then the films that came out for kids, they weren't interested in. I mean,
Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way is sort of loved now, but that didn't do very well.
I couldn't imagine it. Phil Hartman,
Yeah. I mean, that's one that I watched when it came out and didn't like, and then I like it. I like it now for what it is.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, and it's all selfish adults, and
I think it's a very good Christmas movie in that it represents Christmas very well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but this let's just go back to Last Action Hero. Reasons why you should get off your bottoms and come and see it.
Well, because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger is always a good reason to go to the cinema.
Yeah,
it's 30 years on, so it's an interesting look at what 30 years ago what they were trying. It's got great sequences in it. It's funny. It's truly, truly funny. And if you like cinema, truly like the cinema, this is a movie to see at the cinema because it is really about the magic of cinema, and that's written all over it. It starts off with it. The beginning is brilliant. The setup for it is great with Nick the projectionist and giving the magic ticket and all that stuff. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's fantastic.
And if you missed it the first time around, you got no excuse now.
Absolutely.
And if you were like, I didn't have much pocket money then, I could only afford to see that or Jurassic Park, and you went for Jurassic Park.
Oh, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but you could see both now.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the trailer or a trailer for Jurassic Park, and then we'll be talking about Jurassic Park.
There it is. Welcome to Jurassic Park. We've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet. The most phenomenal discovery of our time. How'd you do this? Becomes the greatest adventure of all time.
Can I touch it?
Sure. Universal Pictures presents.
You feel that?
Hold on to your butts.
A Steven Spielberg film.
This is a feeling all over the park.
Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go. An adventure.
Look out! No!
I can't get Jurassic Park back online. 65 million years in the making. Jurassic Park.
...1993. Dinosaurs were everywhere.
Oh, they were.
Jurassic Park. We will quickly mention the other dinosaur movie that bombed that year was Super Mario Brothers. Yeah. That came out
tragic.
as well. Yeah.
Because seriously, brilliant film.
It is a great film. Still, I'm not saying it's the best Super Mario Brothers film, but it's my favourite one. Yeah. But Jurassic Park, I can remember clearly being picked up after school by my friend's dad. My friend was with me as well. We went to a packed out Odeon, I believe, and saw Jurassic Park, and it blew us and the whole audience away. It was like nothing else before it.
Absolutely. I didn't see it at the Odeon, was not living here in Ipswich at the time, was living in London, saw it in London. It's probably the opening day, I don't know, but it was a full cinema.
I think this is a film that everyone who saw it when it came out, it feels like it was the first day because it was busy.
Always, yeah. I'm sure it was busy for weeks, just packed. And absolutely loved it. Thought it was amazing, brilliant. Everyone was into it. Everyone was feeling it. It was gasps, all that kind of stuff. All the stuff you see in the movies where people are watching films was happening in real time. And it was the first time ever, and I still think to this day, the only time where it's been just a movie that's not at a festival or something, where at the end, out of spontaneously, basically everyone clapped and cheered.
Yeah. I remember a big laugh. I won't say the joke. But Jeff Goldblum, edit. That's arachnophobia. Jeff Goldblum, there's a big pile of dung, and he says a swear.
He does.
And there was the biggest laugh I've ever heard.
Yeah, I remember there being quite a big laugh as well. It was odd. I mean, this is again one of my memories that probably wasn't true, but believe it's true. When you see it, or you see his face, I just thought he was going to say it. I just had this thing in my head, he's going to say that word, isn't he? He's going to say it, and he did.
Yeah. But a PG certificate, I do remember.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a warning on it. Do you remember this?
Oh, yes.
It was basically I think the recommended age was 8 or something.
Right, yeah. But I definitely remember it being talked about like, that's got some scenes that are quite, intense for young children. So, be warned.
Yeah. And groundbreaking special effects. Because it was early CGI, wasn't it?
There was early CGI.
And then the wonderful work of Stan Winston.
Yes.
Who was it? Was there someone else involved? And he really had to step down. It might have been Stan Winston. And it was meant to be more animatronics, more, and then they just couldn't for what they wanted to do. Yeah. They had to really up their game with CGI. Mm-hmm. And I think the mix of it is perfect.
Yes. It looks brilliant, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it still looks great.
Still does. And weirdly, I think the effects in this look better than a lot of the sequels.
That's probably true. I'm guessing that might just be because there might have been some less time constraints, perhaps, on the first one. Like they want to definitely get it right the first time round, where later on they're probably a bit more. We need to get it out.
Yeah, and the first one is Spielberg. I mean, I know he done the second as well. But the one underrated one, the third one, but the effects in that is underrated because he looked at me funny. Because at the time, everyone got really bad reviews. It's 90 minutes. It's a monster movie. It's cool, but it's very CGI.
Yeah.
And
it has a talking dinosaur.
Does it?
In the dream sequence.
Oh yeah, the dream sequence is spot on. Yeah.
That's where it lost it for me, I think. Yeah.
It ends with an egg, doesn't it? There's an egg.
Yeah.
But that was the first one without Spielberg, and I like the sequels, but this first one, there is an argument of should they have bothered with sequels.
Yes, I agree. Obviously, there were going to be because of the success of the film, but I would certainly agree that it would, if there never were any, that would have been a perfect thing. But of course, it was never going to happen.
I get the feeling Spielberg doesn't like doing sequels unless he's really passionate, and the fact he came back from the second one says it all. Well,
it certainly does, because the first film was I'm sure he looks at that extremely fondly as being one of his best.
If you've seen any of it must have been quite a tough shoot, and they were pushing the boundaries with technology and stuff. But it looks like they all seem to be quite enjoying themselves. Enthusiasm. There's a lot of behind the scenes footage out there, which for a lot of films like this there isn't. Almost because there's not much on Super Mario Brothers, and they seem to really enjoy it. And the interviews since with the kids, they say how great it was and how great Spielberg was, And I think it was just it was this new thing, and they were just so passionate about it, and it shows. Yeah. And you've got the generations, Richard Attenborough.
Yeah.
To the kids involved.
Yeah.
And that's one thing with it. It's sort of a big movie, but there was no big name to sell it. Whereas the last film we spoke about was all about one actor.
Absolutely.
This was more character actors.
Yeah.
And to push the dinosaur side of it. It's
interesting, isn't it? Because there are what we'd consider everyone involved in the film now, all the main cast, apart from the kids. Big names. Yeah. They are big names. And at the time, they weren't nothing, but they weren't what they are today. Of course, it's 30 years on, and they're all still working and everything, and so, that's going to make a difference. But all their careers have gone up, have stepped up and up as the years have gone by. And that certainly says something about the casting, that, that people recognise talent.
Yeah.
And this is a movie where you look at everyone involved and you go, yeah, they're all great. Like, everyone in it is great.
Yeah. Wayne Knight's my favourite.
Wayne Knight is great in the film.
He's brilliant. They all are, and that's early.
Samuel Jackson. Sam Neill, fantastic. Yeah. Laura Dern, fantastic.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, of course.
Yeah.
Bob Peck, who's in the film, plays the ranger in the movie, who died not too long after the film, or maybe 10 years or something afterwards. Yeah. He's fantastic, and he's one of my favourite. I loved him anyway as an actor growing up, seeing him on television and stuff, British television. But he's fantastic. He's just great in it. Just completely makes you feel the fear, the fear that's coming. Before you've seen the dinosaur, he's sort of giving you the idea of they are terrifying.
Yeah. It's weird because to me it kind of feels like a horror movie as well.
Of course,
which is one thing they emphasise it isn't, but it kind of is.
Of course, it is Jaws again. In that respect.
But it's because of where it's set on the island and in the forest, and it feels a lot darker than Jaws to me.
Yeah.
Apart from the underwater stuff in Jaws, but it's bright. It's in the summer in Jaws, and for this, it just feels.
I suppose maybe. I mean, I never really thought of that as being. There are some scenes that are very scary later on with the velociraptors, like in the kitchen and stuff. All that, I remember that stuff being the stuff that really scared me watching it, like the tenseness that I remember feeling, that whole sort of on the edge of your seat kind of
thing.
There's
that moment where Laura Dern thinks everything's safe and the face of the dinosaur smashes through.
There's that kind of jump scare kind of element of horror. Is certainly more prevalent in the film than, say, in Jaws.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's more of a jump scary kind of thing, and more of a edge of your seat kind of film than Jaws. But as far as I don't know, like the knowledge of what could happen, I suppose being trapped, of course, on an island, even Jaws is on an island, but you don't have to go into the water. The dinosaurs are everywhere, though.
Yeah, there's more than one.
Yeah, there's more than one. So that certainly gives it more of an impact on the fear level.
Yeah. And we mentioned the soundtrack because, much like Jaws, it's all the instrumental, and I don't want to compare too much to Last Action Hero, but if you look at the posters of the two. Mm-hmm. One of them is just selling this. It says action on the posters. Arnie's swinging through with the background, guns are blazing. And just that simple logo for Jurassic Park, which was the early marketing campaign, that became iconic, much like the Jaws poster, very quickly, which is great selling, I think.
Of course.
And there's that mystery, right? There's going to be a dinosaur. Mm. We don't know, because it's like the skeleton of the dinosaur, there's the hint.
Yeah, it's the past, isn't it? It's really selling on the idea that we are talking about creatures that don't exist anymore and haven't existed for millions upon millions of years, and now for some reason, we don't know yet what until you see the film, they are existing again.
Yeah,
and that's really what it's about, isn't it? Like that the marketing's about. It's about you're now going to be witnessing in real time in life something that you should not be witnessing, something that's from the ancient past.
Yeah,
not even prehistory, stuff.
And that sort of sparked something with people at the time. And dinosaurs, afterwards, just the fascination, TV shows, more documentaries. You know, the thing is, you can't
completely blew up,
and you can't copyright a dinosaur.
No.
So you know, so that's, people could make money off this, but also kids lapped it up.
Yeah.
You know, you take a kid out for a day out, and they see a toy dinosaur, they'll want it. And they don't care whether it's an official Jurassic Park one. They don't care. And I don't know about the Disney series Dinosaurs was around the same time. That might have been a bit before. But definitely thanks to this movie, you've got the Flintstones film and things like that coming out. It just sort of...
Probably. I mean, I couldn't say for certain that's true, unless you have some information.
I
don't know.
I assume it is to do with it.
Right.
And Spielberg produced that as well, so it's probably off the back of this.
Okay.
And there was a lot of things, and
I was just thinking that Flintstones, you know, was a huge hit originally, you know, when it was a TV series, and
but what suddenly sparked them to do?
Sure, yeah.
And also the technology they made, you know, what they developed in Jurassic Park made it more doable.
Absolutely.
And they knew dinosaurs would sell, so that's my thinking.
Yeah, no, you're probably right with that. But yeah, I mean, the technology is crucial to the development of other movies which are not Jurassic Park orientated. But
but that's been my thinking. Sort of here, there was because of that success, they thought, right, let's do something. Dinosaurs are a thing at the minute.
Yeah,
Flintstones is perfect. Imagine if Dino had a cameo in Jurassic Park. That'd been brilliant, wouldn't it?
Would it? I might have taken you out of the movie.
It's in the background waving. Hello. But yeah, it's this thing, and you know, Last Action Hero, I don't know if I've seen anywhere on the big screen since it came out. Probably, but it has been, but not a big. Whereas Jurassic Park, you guys are one of the few places I know showing it for the 30th anniversary. I can't think of but every year or so they do the thing with an orchestra. Going back to the soundtrack being this big thing, and not many films they do that on a regular basis. I mean, it's happened with, say, Star Wars in the past, Superman. I know they've done it with Psycho, but Jurassic Park just seems that one. Yeah, I think it's the age of people who are going to see them. Most people now, this is the film that 20-year-olds like because they can remember seeing it on TV when they were very young. More so than older films that don't get shown as much. It's almost like Jaws was to us when we were kids.
Well, certainly, yes. It is sort of the Jaws of our generation, sure. Yeah. So I can't... that's it, really, on that. Yeah. I mean, as far as, how people perceive it, you know, nowadays. And it's continued on. I mean, Jurassic Park isn't something, like we were saying earlier, that it's not something that had the one hit and then that was it. But everyone remembers that one hit. There have been movies recently, being made.
Have done really well, and I think an animated series and things like that.
And I mean, there might be more. I don't know if there are more coming up. But
so they sort of ended the trilogy. So, whereas, say, Jaws, there was 3 sequels, none of which done very well.
That's exactly. And not associated at all, or very little association with the original movie. If you see what I mean.
So it was like George's cousin, wasn't it?
Yeah. but I mean, sort of like people necessarily involved, or it hasn't got. They never really felt like they were all necessarily connected, even though the Brody family are. I never really felt too much like they were. In the same kind of way. Well, obviously 2, certainly the second Jaws, but after that.
But the third Jaws has nothing to do with it.
And anyway.
The gay Dennis Quaid work, so.
Where in Jurassic Park, you did have people coming back in the other films who were, crucial to the whole whole
I think
thing.
In all of them, I'm not 100%, but the third one you've got Laura Dern cameo. There's always someone on the screen from the original one, but also off screen.
Yeah,
I think Spielberg's produced all of them.
Right. Yeah.
Which I don't think he done with Jaws.
No, I don't think he had anything to do with the others after the first one.
So he's still overseeing it.
That's what I mean. That's the kind of thing, and you can feel that. You can really feel that with all the films.
Yeah.
So
and the fact that there's been the demand, whereas after Jaws 2 there wasn't a demand for any more. Whereas the last Jurassic Park critically failed, but it still made money, and I know people, including myself, who enjoyed it. That's one that I've only seen on the big screen, but you're meant to see these films on, and they have turned into the Bond Sunday afternoon, feet up, after your roast dinner. But you don't get the same thing with Jurassic Park on TV. I kind of feel sorry for people who've only seen it on TV, if I'm honest, especially youngsters, because it's big. It's a dinosaur. You're meant to see it.
Yeah, well, this is we get into the conversation about people being at the cinema, you know, and or more importantly, not being at the cinema. Generations of kids who don't really care about seeing whatever it is at the cinema in the same way that we do.
Yeah, but there has been with the Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Sure,
it does seem like...
I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah.
Full stop. Of course, they still come to cinema, but just the idea that it's a necessity. Yeah. You know, that we must go see this film at the cinema. Sort of
I think there's been a bit of a with that, and the new one, the Meg, has done critically panned the hell out of, but it's doing well.
Right, yeah.
And I think people are getting it again.
Want a monster movie. That's it. They want a big monster movie.
Big old shark.
Big old shark. Yeah.
Jason Statham as
they
well.
want Jason Statham. People love Jason.
We've mentioned it before. I mean, we're certainly not into them, but it seems like a lot of kids want to see every Fast and Furious in the cinema.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, franchises generally, you know, if they're a popular franchise, that you would have thought that people want to go see them as soon as they come out. You know, exactly. And if they're not, you know, put onto some streaming service, which I'm thinking that a lot of, you know, companies, whatever, distributors are recognising that there's value in not having them coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
Holding films back from streaming services for giving the cinema a while. Yeah. You know.
But hopefully as well people are realising that it's simply just better because you can you know, I've been to your cinema knowing that what I am watching I could stream even if it's paid to stream, and it's not the same experience.
Of course it's not the same experience.
And you know,
it's a completely it is a different thing, and a part of that, see, now I'm going to get into talking about the whole experience. A part of why I think certain people nowadays, younger people, don't necessarily like going to the cinema is because of that specific thing that makes cinema so crucial, that it is a passive experience where you are there sitting in the dark, where you are not in control. You are just, I mean, you can get up and leave, but you can't stop the film. You can't, you know, you're not supposed to make noise. You're not supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to care and be considerate about your surroundings. It's not your home. And I think a lot of people don't like that. They want it to be their home. They want to put their feet up, make as much noise. They want pause a film whenever they want, you know, throw food around, whatever, you know.
It's got the image of someone at home chucking stuff around. But that's, for me, that's, if you're not taking a film in.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely. So, one thing I had, and it was at your cinema, and I really needed to loo about half an hour from a film. But it's kind of weird that it's like, if I had paused that, gone to the loo, then I'd have checked my phone, then I'd have messaged someone back, you know, and it takes it away.
Yeah,
how many times have I been at home watching a film, getting into it, I've just looked at my phone a little bit.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, look up and the credits are rolling.
Yeah, exactly. You start doing something else.
And you're like, what happened to Norman Bates' mum? What? So, yeah. No.
Was that the second one? Psycho 2, was it?
Psycho, I don't know. It's been silly.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's Jurassic Park, cinema.
Cinema, it's about the cinema.
Yeah. And that the sound, a big old dinosaur in your face is what you want.
Terrifying.
And if you're so well inclined, you can see Jeff Goldblum's chest in big on the screen.
That's the thing. That became a meme, didn't it?
Did you know that the Jeff Goldblum character was supposed to be more cowardly? And the scene where he gets then sort of directs the dinosaur out of the way, he asked if they could do that. He said, I don't want to just be like the lawyer character at the beginning. Yeah,
and you can tell that as well. I think there's a shift almost in his not so much that you don't believe it, but a shift in his sort of like almost like his inner hero wakes up sort of thing, and that's great. And yes.
I always saw that as he actually began to like the other characters.
Yeah, well,
apart from he's Bill Murray and all over Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters reference, not the real Bill Murray. But there's that, and that's comedy, especially at the time.
Yes.
Isn't it funny to have a guy trying to, you know, but he's even like Sam Neill, you can tell he likes.
Yeah.
You know, and when I first saw this, especially, I really liked that character.
Yeah.
I still do.
Yeah,
but
Jeff
at the time,
Goldblum's
he was comedy relief without being the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's pretty much, but it's pretty much Jeff Goldblum though. I mean, it's true. Sometimes you think, is the man even acting? Is he just walked on set, said, "Oh, those are my lines, are they? Okay, I'll say those as myself." Thank you very much.
He just slipped his hand on lines. But no, he's great, and this was definitely a commercial breakthrough for him.
Yeah,
you know,
he'd done stuff at Fly and things like that.
I remember a film called The Tall Guy.
Yeah, Tall Guy, which was big, I thought, at least here in Britain.
Yeah, because it was Mel Smith, wasn't it?
It was a Mel Smith film.
Yeah.
I mean, and Richard Curtis writer. So, and I think maybe his first film. I think as a writer.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those films that I can look back at nostalgically, but it's not. I have seen it recently, last year, and I was like, no,
I haven't seen it.
Not so good.
I've mentally filed it with Nuns on the Run and things like that.
Yeah, not so good then.
Yeah. But yeah, and Sam Neill I've never heard of before this, and
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I had seen. I think probably not. I think I probably hadn't have seen him in anything.
No, I mean, if I had, it wouldn't have. Anything that he's still in. He's been in sort of more family friendly stuff made before this. Can't think what offhand, but no, and for him it took him from literally good character actor, popular in the industry, to movie star.
Absolutely.
And same with Laura Dern, really.
Yeah,
she's Laura Dern, David Lynch and stuff before this, hasn't she?
Yeah, Laura Dern comes from cinema royalty, so both her parents, big names. But yeah, sort of more low key or sort of indie fringe kind of stuff, more so until this one. This was like, wow, boom, massive. Yeah.
Interestingly, one thing I did notice with the latest film, they're both wearing exactly the same clothes 30 years later. That was weird. Just thought I'd mention that.
What?
In the last Jurassic Park film.
Oh, really?
They're wearing the same clothes.
I did not notice that. So I don't know. Maybe I do. To be perfectly honest, sadly, with a lot of new films that are franchise based or sequels or whatever, I tend to forget them.
It's because you're on your phone, mate.
That's probably what it is. Playing Snake.
Yeah. But no, I think as well with these movies, it's you watch them when you're the young, and they stick with you.
Yeah.
And that's why part of me really, I like it when a new franchise comes about that does well, even if I don't like it, it's not for me. The kids need their Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I'm not against. I'd like to say earlier. For me personally, of course, it would have been lovely if it was just the one film, but I'm not against them making more of them. It's nature of the beast, really, and so whatever. If people can make these movies, like people involved in them, can make these movies so they can make money to then make smaller things that I prefer to watch, then great. If it's what's needed to be done,
which is the why people are saying Ben Wheatley has done Meg 2.
Right. Yeah. This is a thing. I mean, I know a lot of actors do it.
Yeah.
Will be in like some massive movies so they can finance their own little projects.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean, Steve Martin done that comedy-wise years ago. But one thing I do like about Jurassic Park and Jaws, and obviously when it was made, this could do really well, but it's not written so you have to have a sequel.
Absolutely.
Whereas I always think it's a mistake, Master of the Universe, when you put something at the end, so it's like, we will be back, we will see you, and then...
Yes. There aren't so many of those anymore, to perfectly. I know Marvel do them, but really there was a time when that was more of a thing, and even not done knowing like that there would be and sometimes it was just sort of because Master Universe is a very good example of that.
And
there was never going to be a sequel.
Flash Gordon as well.
Yeah,
with the
sort of in the end, or is it? Kind of thing.
Yes.
That's over.
So that's the beauty of Jurassic Park. I mean, to be honest, the Star Wars New Hope can be seen as a one-off. It
was.
Yeah. So they get the medals, apart from Chewbacca. They didn't like him.
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah. So I mean that's what the beauty of it is. If you're one of these Part 3 ruined it all. No, it didn't. You can watch it as for what it is, you know, and that's great. We should probably wrap it up. Reasons to see Jurassic Park. We've pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Again, 30 years on, look at it as from the point of view of today, from now. Got to like, oh, wow, brilliant. I remember being a kid again. Or, if you've never seen it before, that's the place to see it, at the cinema.
Yeah.
And it is a true cinema movie in the sense that it will blow your mind.
If you have seen this movie on TV and you don't think you like it, go and see
Absolutely.
it. I will eat my hat if you don't like it, unless you lie. I'm not eating my hat for a liar. But I don't know many or any people who've told me they don't like Jurassic Park.
Never heard it. I've never ever heard anyone ever say, you know, like, Jurassic Park is awful.
Well, Arnie might have said that.
No, not even him.
No,
he would have. I think he would have absolutely.
I'd give him a cigar in the cinema, popcorn.
Yeah, exactly.
He's good on him. Yeah. So yeah, but if you don't, you think it's overrated or whatever, just come along and we'll prove you wrong.
I mean, overrated is a strange thing. I don't. You know, how is having a good time overrated? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's overrated. If you're looking for sophistication, you're not going to find it with this film, right? It's not it's not about that. It's about just having a good time and being scared. If you, I would say, of course, if you maybe have a weak disposition, maybe not for you, but otherwise, definitely come to the film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If say, I don't know, your great granddad was killed by a dinosaur.
Yeah, something like PTSD on that one, certainly.
But yeah, so I've read the reviews. 8.2 on IMDb.
That's massive.
10, obviously. 4.1 on Letterboxd.
Massive. Very few films get over 4.
And the massively overrated Rotten Tomatoes, 91%.
There you go.
Yeah, which I agree with those. I'd probably give it a bit higher, if I'm honest. Not the 91%, but I'd give it more than 8.2.
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, I think 8's fine. Yeah. I think 8's a good score, I think, for the film, yeah.
What would you give Last Action Hero?
Out of 10?
Or, I'll tell you what the Nation have given it.
Oh, yeah.
6.5 on IMDb.
That's awful. At 6.5, that's not a 6 film, no. That's 7 for certain, and probably even an 8.
40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that is awful.
And 3.3 on Letterboxd.
No, it's a. Okay, that's more probably closer to it out of 3 and a bit out of 5. But yeah, I could probably give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, if I was being honest. Yeah, definitely.
I did give it a 4.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. Jurassic Park, of course, gets a 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I'd give that a 9 out of 10 or a 5.
Yeah,
I work weirdly like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's easier to give top marks out of 5 than it is out of 10. You know?
But it's a context. It's completely context. I mean, the films are extremely different. What Last Action Hero was attempting to do, which I think it did do for the most part, was something quite unusual. And something not really thought of as being, this is not what we want to see at the cinema, thank you very much. But for me, personally, no, I do want to see that at the cinema. I enjoy that. I enjoy that kind of humour and that kind of introspection. Where Jurassic Park is just a ride. Huge dinosaurs, scary moments, edge of your seat kind of stuff. Very different movie.
Yeah. Cool. So get your bottoms to both of those.
Absolutely.
And we are going to briefly mention on Sunday the 17th.
Yes.
All dayer.
All dayer indeed.
I'll let you.
So we are showing the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
What? All of them?
In their extended cuts.
Blimey.
That's over 11 hours of cinema in one day.
You're doing overtime that day.
Hopefully. Yeah. So the ticket is for the 3 films. This is not a position where you could just come up and pay for one. You will be paying for all 3. And I'm pretty sure that the majority of the fans, if not all the fans, will be wanting to do so.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you can come dressed as a wizard?
Absolutely. And we will be supplying food, pizza, I believe.
Oh, cool. Okay. So that's on the 17th. I haven't seen these films since I don't think I've seen them since they first come out. There's a Blu-ray box set you can see in my studio here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But it's just unopened.
Hobbit and...
I've already watched the first Hobbit.
All right.
But I will watch them one day.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Sylvester McCoy's in them, so I should like it.
He is.
Yeah. Best Doctor Who, and they named Chris after him. So...
Sorry?
The best Doctor Who,
right.
And they named Crisps after him.
Oh, Crisp, sorry. Yeah. Oh, right, sorry. I thought you said Chris after him. I was like,
Chris McCoy.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. So I'm working that day, but I'm going to do my best.
Right.
I'm going to do my best.
To come to some of it?
Just get the day off.
Get the day off, okay.
I'll try.
I mean, like you say, it is a long slog.
What time does it kick off?
Do you know what? I don't know, but it's probably like 10.
Yeah.
I think it's probably like 10 in the morning.
Whoa.
And, we'll be going till like 11 midnight.
That's going to be
cool.
So cool.
Yeah, it will be one for the hardcore fans, which I know there are a hell of a lot of you out there.
Yeah.
And just to to say that you did it would be an achievement in itself.
Yeah.
So
that'd be cool. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
One thing, we're going to be back in a few weeks and do a special on Batman movies.
Yes.
Because you're showing 3 Batman movies. It's the day before.
Yeah.
So if anyone's big enough.
Absolutely. You've got Batman Day and then Lord of the Rings Day.
Just quickly, what the Batman movies you're showing are?
Okay, Batman, the movie from 1966.
Yes.
Batman 1989, so that's the Tim Burton one. And then there is the animated movie. What was that called? The Mask of the Phantasm, I believe, from 1993, starring Mark Hamill as the Joker.
As the Joker, and Kevin Conway.
Kevin Conway as Batman.
So 3 completely different Batmans.
Indeed.
And also, it's the first 3 people to play Batman on the big screen.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's very true.
But we'll be back and we'll be talking about that in more depth in a couple of weeks. We'll do that in a couple of weeks because it's been shown on the 16th, so we'll probably put one out beginning of the month.
Yeah.
So there's loads more coming up.
There is.
Give a quick. I know she's showing House.
We're showing House. This the 70s, 1977 Japanese horror comedy movie, which one of my personal favourites. So very crazy, very surreal, strange stuff. So come and see that one.
That's a great film. But basically, go to the website. It's the best because there's so much coming out, and usually by the time we put them out, more stuff's coming out. And
that's right.
So that's King Street Cinema.
Oh, Enter the Dragon, of course, as well. Yeah. So don't forget Enter the Dragon's coming out on from the 2nd to the 7th, so early in the month.
Yeah. So
that's another anniversary, 50 years.
50 years.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Scary, innit?
Yeah.
We weren't even born. So and renew your memberships.
Yes.
Or get a membership. I went the other week and I was like, where's my discount? Give me my discount. And they're like, Mr. Martin, you have not renewed. And I was like, I will renew it then.
Yeah.
And I did.
And you did,
and I did. And I got 10% off my pastels. Yes. Other suites are available.
They are.
Thank you very much, James. Yeah. And we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel, soon.